Thank you, Ms. Leota Tucker, for that very generous introduction. If my parents, J.W. and Marion Phipps, were here, they would believe every word of it. Sheriff Spruill, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Hodges Tiller, and other program participants. You know, when lawyers come to argue at the Court of Appeals, we put them on the clock. They have a time limit. Tonight, the committee has put me on the clock. I have a time limit. So I'll have to pass and save some of those good Baker County jokes that I had intended to tell you and move directly to the business at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you know, the theme for tonight is living the dream, dream with vision, live with a purpose. And I have sort of a subtitle to that theme called After the Dream, the Work. The author James Baldwin said that there came a time when he stopped dreaming, woke up, and realized that it was not the world that was his oppressor. Because, he said, what the world does to you, if you allow the world to do it to you long enough, you will begin to do it to yourself. On the issue of oppression, Lord Byron said, those who would be free must strike the first blow. Byron knew what Frederick Douglass would later say. Power concedes nothing without a demand. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted. No oppressed people ever gain freedom by only dreaming about it. Dreams have their place, but you cannot make the first move or strike a blow for freedom and justice in your dreams. The first step in making any dreams come true is to wake up, get up, and go to work. Douglass had this in mind when he said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. After the dream, the work. Any discussion of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. usually leads to talk of his dream. But he had much more than a dream. He had a plan. When he led marches, he was not sleepwalking. He was awake to the possibilities. He was executing a plan with the purpose of solving the problem of racial injustice. Nobody wants to hear about your dreams unless you are ready to tell them about your plans. The dictionary tells us a dream is a series of thoughts, images, or emotions occurring during sleep. A dream is a visionary creation of the imagination. A dream is a state of mind marked by abstractions or release from reality. A dream is a strongly desired goal or purpose. That is the kind of dream that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had. One may dream of going to college, of starting a business, of becoming president. One may dream of world peace, or one may dream of freedom and justice for all. But what comes after the dream. It has been said that a dream without a plan will forever be just a dream. No matter how noble the dream, the images of a dream not followed by real action quickly fade away. What did you dream about last night? What are your dreams tonight for a better community? Will they end up in the cemetery of dead dreams, or will you breathe life into them by taking action yourself rather than standing on the sidelines complaining about what others do or fail to do? Get busy. Dreams never come true while you're dreaming. And dreams left unattended have a short life expectancy, because dreams are perishable. Like the food that we purchase at the market, they come with a use-by date. And if you don't, they spoil. After the dream, the work. On June 2nd, 1959, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a commencement address at Morehouse College. His subject was remaining awake through a great revolution. He was referring to the nonviolent social and political revolution taking place in America. He made his point by using Washington Irving's story of Rip Van Winkle. He stressed that the most significant fact in this story is not what we all remember, that Rip slept 20 years. He pointed out that the most significant fact is not how long he slept, but that he slept through a revolution. When Rip went to sleep, King George III of England ruled the land. 20 years later, when he awoke, the revolutionaries had overthrown England, and another George Washington, was president of the United States. A revolution had occurred that changed the world. I imagine that Rip felt guilty, that he was ashamed because he had slept through it, knew nothing about it, and played no part in it. Others had changed his world without him. We have some Rips among us today. There's more than one way to be a Rip. You don't have to sleep for 20 years. Apathy, indifference, and unconcern are characteristics or symptoms of Ripism. Those who suffer from it allow others to control their world by default because they fail to show up, fail to get involved. Dr. King called them silent onlookers, detached spectators, but they never fail to whine or complain. The revolution turned out well for Rip, but often for us, there is no happy ending when we fail to get involved. All of us have had the experience of shaking someone awake, only to look back and see that the person had fallen asleep again. The person sitting next to you now, here or at home on the couch, may have fallen asleep. Please shake them for me. This is no time for dreaming. The sweet dreams of sleep are more appealing than the hard challenges of reality. Dreaming is easier than living with a purpose. Hopes and dreams never amount to anything unless converted or transformed into a plan of action. That is where the work comes in. Any success that I have had with my dreams has been the result of hard work, determination, and persistence. Hard work, determination, and persistence. Nothing else works. Revolutions like the American Revolution often occur when there is a desire to bring about a radical change in the way people live, in the way they are treated by those in power. Martin Luther King Jr. led a nonviolent revolution to radically change the way America treated its black citizens. Revolutions take various forms. Some are violent, some are nonviolent. Some last a few days, some last a few years, and some last for generations. The history books describe many: the American Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution in China, and our own Albany movement. The Albany movement was a nonviolent social revolution to end racial injustice in Albany. It merged with a broader national social revolution that had begun generations before. That revolution is not over yet, and if you think it is, you have fallen asleep again. You are uninformed, or you have been led astray. Thus, the challenge is to not be weary, or complacent, or content, but to remain awake and to live with a purpose, to finish the work with urgency. To steal a phrase often used by my good friend Dean Grant, if not us, who? If not now, when? If not here, where? Martin Luther King Jr. kept us awake for a while, but many of us have fallen asleep again, or have become content, satisfied, comfortable, and even blind to the injustice still around us. They need somebody to shake them, to wake them. But leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. come along infrequently. He has been gone for more than a generation, and no one else like him has risen up among us. If we are waiting for that to happen, we are lost in a dream that will never come true. The baton has been passed to us. We can drop it, or we can finish the race. You don't have to be a Martin Luther King Jr. to be a leader, to be a force for justice. In every revolution or movement, too often, we overlook the importance of ordinary people. A revolution or movement is about more than a famous leader. It's about ordinary people too. People whose names and stories can't be found in the newspapers or the history books. Martin Luther King Jr. would have accomplished little without the tens of thousands of ordinary people, black and white, who marched with him and without him. Ordinary people did the everyday detail work of the movement. Ordinary people continued the struggle long after he moved on to other battles. Helen Keller, blind, deaf, and mute, said the world is moved along not only by the mighty shoves of its heroes, but by the tiny pushes of ordinary people. Mighty shoves get our attention. Tiny pushes go unnoticed. We celebrate and worship the heroes. We forget the ordinary people. We forget the little people who had the courage to risk everything, the courage to stand up and face the resistance and endure the punishment and retaliation. Only in retrospect do we realize that ordinary, unknown, committed people living with a purpose steadfastly chipped away at the resistance, tore down the barriers, and paved the way for much of our